Have you learned any interesting tips or tricks for someone that is newer into this field?
Hello, all you great people out in ProfitDIg land. This is the ProfitDIg construction show, and I'm here with my colleague, Jeff Gibbons, and
Josh Young.
Josh Young. I couldn't remember that.
Construction.
Josh Young, Young's Construction. I apologize for that. And then Jerry Wirt back behind the camera there, watching over us and making sure we don't screw up too bad. We really appreciate y'all joining in and listening to us. And we got Josh here, and he's been talking to us about his new and upcoming business in remodeling. And is it just general construction or just remodeling?
Yeah, it's just general construction, but I put an emphasis on remodeling just for, because I do that too.
Right.
I don't just construct things, I also remodel things. So yes, absolutely.
What's the biggest difference like for you between like a newer construction and a remodel?
So newer construction is, you're actually starting from nothing. Whereas remodeling, you already have something. You just need to tear it down and redo it.
You think there's at least for you, one that you prefer over the other?
I prefer new construction, but there's a big market for remodeling because, does everyone here have a house already?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So
stuff doesn't last forever.
Right. So and that's a big thing. And I also do property maintenance. You have a stair that's, dry rotted on your deck. I'll come fix that.
It'll happen eventually.
Yes, it will. Absolutely.
It's a matter of time.
Yeah.
What about like additions? That's kind of like a remodel and new construction.
Yeah. Yes. Additions. I have not done one. And I want to, because I just want to get the experience up as far as, getting a permit, getting inspected, all that stuff. I haven't done any of that.
Yeah.
Because I do the remodeling, I do the decks but absolutely, I want to get bigger.
So since you've been doing this, I think you said you're in your third year now. Have you learned any interesting tips or tricks for someone that is newer into this field or is thinking about going into it that you've learned since you started?
One thing that I have learned myself is pressure treated wood is not good anymore. And I've literally, because you have these old decks that have been there for 30 years, and they're a little worn, but structurally they're still going. But you take pressure treated wood now, and I believe, don't take my word for it, but I believe they've taken the arsenic out of the pressure treatment when they pressure treat this wood. So it doesn't last as long. And so to the point where people are saying, hey, we probably shouldn't bury our posts 3 feet into the ground and then pour concrete in there, because the concrete's going to hold your water. And then, of course, water and wood don't mix good together.
No.
And if you have a better pressure treatment, 30 years ago, that was fine. But now it's saying, hey, let's build a concrete pier, and then have it stick above ground, and then actually put your post and fasten that post to that pier. That way, there's no, water just,
deteriorating.
Yeah, just sitting there,
Yeah. I can see how that would be bad.
Yeah.
And I've seen those things you're talking about, like a lot of actually like buildings now, like shop buildings and stuff, they actually, will go in, they'll pour their piers, and then they pour the concrete around them. Then they got these brackets that you put you actually put the bolts and stuff down in your forms for your templates, for your boats on your piers. And then you got these brackets that sit on there, and it keeps you about a 1/2 inch water barrier, keeps your post up about a 1/2 inch off the ground. So even though they're covered, there's still chances for moisture to get in there. So they raise them up to where if any moisture, if you want to pressure wash something in your shop or whatever, the water will get out from under it.
Now, does that seem to be just a industry standard or a regulation that they've changed the pressurization
Well,
material?
I think it varies from region to region.
Okay.
Because you have your northern climates that might be a little bit more harsh, and of course the frost level is higher, or lower. I'm not sure which one, but you have to build above that frost line, otherwise it'll push everything up.
Yeah.
So, but I think it varies in each region. But you have. Sorry, I drew a blank.
What do you have?
What was the question?
So I was talking about.
It's not like a new
It's happened to
industry
me
standard.
too.
Yeah, what was the
I think
question?
just last week, Chris was like,
The older I get, the more often it happens.
No, we're talking about the material used to pressurize or
Yes.
the wood,
Yes.
and how it's changed apparently at some point. And I was asking if that's something that you see across the board. Like, is it an EPA requirement that these things
That
change?
I don't know, but I think a
Because
lot.
there's usually a reason, right?
Well, yeah, but I think a lot of it's common sense. If you're having concrete just encapsulating a piece of wood, and that concrete is holding moisture in that wood, that's no longer as strong as it once was. That's kind of common sense. Let's try a different avenue. And they're even. I've read several people where they actually put some kind of rubber adhesive on top of your floor joists when you put your decking on, because when you have a piece of wood, your decking board, sitting on a floor joist, and you have rain coming down, well, that wood is not draining like and it's not aerating out the way it's supposed to. So they're even putting stuff like that on top of the floor joist to prevent further rot.
Yeah.
Just because of the pressure treatment system isn't as good as it once was.
And now they even recommend, that you treat your wood, your pressure treated wood, every 6 months.
6 months. Like, who's got time to do that?
You talking about like actually pressure treating it, or actually like Thompson's water sealing?
Thompson water seal,
Yeah.
stuff of that nature. Yeah.
Yeah. So and even on I think the directions on the back, it's saying like once a year, or once every other year or something.
Really?
But if your pressure treatment is worse, then I could definitely see a need that you need to do it
Every
more
6
often.
months, yeah. And I can't remember now what the guy at the hardware store, as a matter of fact, was whenever we lived in our other house, we built this one. I was talking to him about my deck, and I treat it like once a year, but it like changes color so quickly, He's like, you need to treat it every 6 months. He said when it starts to change colors, he said the sunlight, because it wasn't covered, he said the sunlight will actually pull that water treatment back out. He's like, and I don't know if he's just shooting me a line of shit or what, but I mean, to sell more product, but I started treating mine every 6 months, and it stayed a good.
It worked for him either way. Right?
Well, that's common sense. So obviously what was working wasn't working.
Yeah.
What you were doing wasn't working. So obviously, and that's, I think, with any construction, if something's not working because of a cheaper product or something, it's time to do something else.
Yeah.
If it's deteriorating faster or something, let's think common sense. This isn't working, so we need to do something different. And I don't think it's a standard as far as the posts and the concrete, but I think people are just saying, hey, this is my work, and if my deck isn't lasting 5-10 years, well, that's no good. And eventually people aren't going to call you because your deck's only lasting 5-10 years. And you can blame it on products all you want, but you're the one who did it. You're the one who got that product and brought it to that job site.
I mean, I'm wanting at least 10, 15, 20 years out of my deck.
Absolutely.
But I also didn't know I had to recoat it every 6 months. I'm learning today that maybe I need to recoat it.
Just don't paint it.
Yeah,
Don't paint.
Never paint wood.
You can use a stain, like the treatment stain.
Yeah.
You can stain any color you want, with the treatment stain, like Thompson's. They offer like several different shades.
See, I didn't even know that. Don't paint it.
Well, if you paint it, you're going to have to paint it over and over and over again.
Oh, yeah.
And then when the paint starts flaking, then you got to
scrape it
scrub, sand, whatever you got to do, so you don't have multiple layers of paint, and that you will see.
Yeah.
And wood, especially out in the weather, is going to expand and contract just like anything else. Well, some of your paints don't expand and contract as much as the wood does, so they crack. You may not be able to see the cracks, but that moisture gets down inside the paint, sits in your wood because it's up on the paint. Yeah. You get a freeze, that's flaking. Starts to flake off, chip up.
Yeah. And I even think with wood, the way it expands and contracts, I'm sorry, that's probably what you said, but it'll actually crack the paint.
Yes. Huh?
Okay. Yeah. So, don't ever use paint.
Yeah. Well, my deck doesn't have paint on it, so that's good.
The stain and
but my wood
treatment,
on my front porch does. Painted.
The treatment that we're talking about, the wood absorbs it. It literally absorbs it.
It'll impregnate the wood.
But
what?
Yeah. I'm sorry. What'd you say?
I said impregnate.
Impregnate the wood.
Yes, sir.
So giving birth to a rotten situation. Okay. Oh man. So any other tips and tricks that you've picked up along the way?
I was going to ask you, have you seen I've only seen a few videos on it, but it's a sleeve. If you still want to put your post in the ground and concrete them, it's a sleeve that actually goes over like a 6x6 or 4x4, whatever size post you're using, kind of like shrink wrap. You take a torch, you heat it.
Yeah.
And then.
Would you call it a post condom?
Kinda.
Okay.
But I don't know if it gets impregnated or not. So okay. I don't really want to use the word condom, so I don't know. But I have seen videos, like where they actually will heat them up. You just like shrink wrap. It shrinks down to it.
Yeah.
And it's supposed to do away with that barrier of water around the post because you still have the water, but now it's sitting against that sleeve that you have put on.
Yeah.
And not against the post.
Yeah. So this was just a friend, so it's not like it was a customer that paid me money, but instead of, and it was a very small landing deck that I had built him, and I think it was like 19 inches off the ground, so you don't really have to have railing, but I know that the pressure treatment system isn't as good as it used to be, so instead of doing that, I still want it to be stable. This is my buddy, I don't want him breaking his neck.
Yeah.
But instead of putting concrete, I dug a hole and put that foam stuff. And it comes in a bag and you roll it. It mixes the two chemicals together and it just foams everywhere. So I actually ended up using that. But to me, that's common sense. It's not porous. It's not a porous material, so it's not going to hold water.
Right.
And I think it'll actually make a seal around that wood to where it'll make that wood pretty much waterproof.
Yeah.
So, and is that the right thing to do? I think so. But I'm just using common sense and saying, well, if this isn't working, there's got to be something else.
Yeah.
Or that'll work. So I did that for him, and so far so good. But only time will tell.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. You got your experiments you're working on.
That is my experiment right now.
Yeah.
So,
and one thing I've seen over the years, some people like them, some people don't. Post caps. Some kind of treatment on top of your post, because once you cut those posts, if you don't have some kind of cap on, whether it be a wood cap or whatever, they will literally sit there and just absorb that water as it falls on them. Every time it rains, you pressure wash, whatever, it's going to soak that water in.
Well, that's how the tree is meant to. It literally soaks up water through the whole tree.
Yeah.
So yes, you're absolutely right. And it needs to have a cap.
Yeah.
Or some kind of pressure treatment system or stain but not paint.
Right. See, like
not paint. All right. I'm learning a lot here. So
I've seen a lot of
we'll go home and
they'll have on their rails or their spindles, they'll have a cap on top of them. They go to the post and they stop. Go to the other side. You got a cap on, but people leave their post exposed, and they will literally rot from the top down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they make products like that, like the post caps that are so cheap. It's there's no reason to not do it.
Right.
And they even I've installed ones that have a solar panel on that light. And they're beautiful. They're like $20 a piece.
Yeah.
And to save your whole deck.
Yeah.
And let's say you have 8 posts. So 8 times 20, math whiz.
8 times 20 is
Yes.
160.
160. So $160 to preserve the life of your post,
Yeah.
which is the main structure of your.
That's almost
deck,
one post cost
Yeah,
nowadays.
yeah, exactly. So, but yeah, and they have lights on them. Come on
Yeah.
now. But it's a no-brainer. So common sense with the products and deck building and so forth.
Lights make everything a little cooler, you know. Like,
That is true.
I bet you could overdo it though.
Probably. Probably.
Okay. Any other tips you found out? Okay. No, that's good.
Now that you put me on the spot.
No, I put you on the spot. I got it. It is really tough sometimes. You'll be thinking like, oh yeah, I know all this. Is it was like, okay, tell me about it. Like,
Yeah.
oh wait.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And like, I didn't think I had to write this down. All right. Well, hey, great topic. We appreciate you being here with us, Josh, sharing your knowledge and your wisdom with us. Check us out at ProfitDIg.com if you're looking for a costing, job bidding, costing software. Track your costs. Jeff Spencer. Man, I'm drawing a blank now. It's rubbing off on
It's contagious, man.
Yeah, like and share
Like,
the video.
like, share, yeah.
Yeah, subscribe.
Comment.
Maybe don't watch till this part of the video. It's a little embarrassing. Yeah.
Go ahead and tell us, how I screwed up the intro on this video and how Jeff screwed up the exit on his
We
video.
did a great job on that.
Yeah, but you put them together and it was a hell of a job. Yeah.
At least we're consistent,
That's right.
right?
That's
Hey,
it.
and I had the middle where I didn't even know what was going on.
Yeah. So collectively, there's a lot of consistent approach going
Yes.
on here.
Yeah.
Hey, thanks for tuning in.
Appreciate you
Talk
guys.
to you guys later.